Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here. Hope everything's going okay wherever you are, whatever part of the planet you're on, wherever you're living. Hope things are all right and peaceful there right now. So many things going on right now, good, bad, and indifferent. UFO world's taken off, you name it. So we're going to get into a few things today, like always. Any questions, please go into the chat room, put them in there. Text me or Tina anytime after the show. We'll answer questions. You ever want to come on, send me an email, hawksblood1aol.com, and we'll talk about when you want to come on, what you want to talk about, as long as it's pertaining to the subjects we are. So good day, everybody. Remember, this show is the most we can do as far as bringing the truth out, and hopefully you send it to everybody you know so it gets spread out there a little bit further. Tina and I aren't doing this to make money. We're doing this just to put the truth out there. I just got a call from somebody that was doubting our credibility. And I said, well, look, I believe everything I do. I believe my co-host 100%. So you want to challenge that, please try. I can only tell you what I know, feel, and what I know is reality, as what's happening in the real world. So I'm going to let Tina say hi before we get into a topic. Hello, Tina.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Good evening, Tommy. I hope everything's okay there in Hawaii. My name's Tina Barrett here in Southampton in the UK, and you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and Hive, and the Hive Initiative on Facebook page and blog, and that's Human Individuals Visited by Extraterrestrials. Sorry. And this evening, me and Tommy are going to do a mixed bag. If any callers would like to come on and have a say or ask us a question, or if you'd like to give us an answer to a previous question or tell us something we don't know, we'd be truly grateful. So yeah, it's been quiet here in the UK. I have seen some posts from people around the world saying there's a bit of activity in Hawaii and lots of things seem to be going on in that part of the world. About a week or so ago here in the UK, over in the New Forest in Hampshire, there was a report of some blue lights in the sky, and I believe some people went out sky watching, but it's been horrendous. The weather and dark cloud here has been really bad in the UK. We've had like storms and things like that, and it's been like a cold temperature, so not a lot has been, you can't really see a lot through the cloud and rain. So but apart from that, I had Tommy, back to you.
Well, I'm on a big island, and there's a lot going on here. The virus is still killing people in the vet's hospital, which is sad. I think there's a major plan to eliminate this. I thought I fixed that problem, but I guess I didn't. It's still there. I did a show yesterday. I guess I wasn't looking at the screen the whole time, so if it blacked out, I didn't even know it. But here's the thing. I went out last night. It was the first time in a long time the sky was pretty well crystal clear. All right, now the moon comes up the same time every night. All right, hopefully it doesn't change. But last night I went out and it was like the moon wasn't up yet. And the sky was still black. Stars were out. The day before, the sky was lit up because the moon was up. I don't know how it happened, or why it happened, or how real the situation was, how much time difference it was. But I went out. I sat down. I look up, and this light ship's blinking at me. I couldn't believe it. So I'm reaching down, trying to get my camera. My camera, I have to do a lot of things to get it to turn on, to turn off the infrared for close-up, and a lot of different things. But it blinked at me a few more times. And I actually recorded it for the first time ever.
Awesome.
So then put the camera down, and the light ship's blinking at me again. So a car pulls up. It's my friend from around the corner, and they said they were going down to the cliffs to look at the ocean to see what's going on down there. Well, I didn't go, but I talked to them this morning, and she said to me there was multiple things they saw there within about 15, 20 minutes that they were last night. From this white massive cloud coming out of the ocean, which 3 other people told me they saw it within the past month, to giant orbs, blue orbs going crashing into the ocean. And then another one, light flashes in the sky, which I saw as well. So there's so much going on last night. I was mind-boggled, but I was happy because I've been trying to film the lightship. It's not the exact same one that I always see, because the one I always see is super, super bright. But this one was blinking at me. It was further away, probably, but it still blinked at me. I don't know how many times. It wasn't moving.
Well, I'm glad you said you recorded it, and I get a lot of messages from people saying, Tina, get some tech equipment, and I'm useless with equipment. But a very good friend of mine managed to purchase me this, and this is what it is. I'll hold it up so you can see it. It's a digital night vision monocular, and here it is.
That's the one I got. That's the one I got.
How much did you pay for yours?
I'm not sure, but it's roughly around 150.
Yeah, it was 110 English pounds, but this little beauty I bought for 15 English pounds.
Well, do you know how much zoom is on it?
I have no idea. And it records as well.
Right. Is it infrared?
Yeah, hold on. It's all in Japanese.
Well, no, when you turn it on,
I'll show you. So it's infrared. And I'll hold it up so you can see. Can you all see inside?
I see it. Looks very much like mine, but it looks incredible. You can film anything with it.
Yeah, you can film it. You can film it, and but I've got that. So I was chuffed to nuts saying that there was on the internet for 120 or 110 or 15 pounds English sterling.
Just so you know,
it came with a chip and a charger, a recorder, and everything for that.
So when you use it, remember, turn the infrared off when you film in the sky.
Right, okay.
If the infrared is shooting a beam out, and that uses up the battery much faster.
So we've got some messages from our guests already. So let's have a read of them. Hello and good evening, everybody. Hello, Sasha. Hello, John. P. Madsen. So Mars is actually 13th, actually closest to 15 until the next 15 years. I'll find an orbit of 8. Is it 4 or 8 years or something?
So yeah, it's out there. I mean, I got that chart that's live, and it shows you all the planets and everything, where they are while they're there when you're outside. All of them are above me right now. Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, they're like directly above me, and they're super bright lights as well. But let me go into the story of what happened last night. So I'm seeing this light ship, and I was so happy that I actually recorded it. But in the interim, all these things that are happening here, something's breaking open. Now, third phase of Moon, the two twins that are doing the show out of Hawaii, they did a show 2 days ago, and they showed a video of somebody on the other side of the island that filmed the ship during the day, and it was up online. You could pull it up if you go into third phase of the Moon. So I didn't even get in touch with them yet, because they're not on top of the stuff going on in Hawaii. I mean, they're putting stuff from all around the world and everything. But there's so much stuff going on here. We need to be a little more aware of what's going on underneath our feet. There was a TV special on about the night walkers here. Just last night I watched. And basically, they're the ones that come out, the warriors, on certain times of the night in certain places. And it's just interesting. We got a lot of stories. The little people, we got all kind of stories that the Hawaiian people believe.
On that, how is it going in the US with the investigations? Aren't they doing the Project Blue Book again now, aren't they? How's that going?
Project Blue Book? How is it going?
No, the new one they're doing, all the investigations. The US military are now investigating UFOs. Have you had any feedback yet from them?
Nothing good's coming out of that. Nothing.
Good evening, Sasha.
Hey guys, I was having issues with my
camera.
Even though it was my browser, it wouldn't support a StreamYard for some reason, so I'm using my backup browser.
Oh wow! All right, well, I'm glad you got on. Greetings. So, what's happening now? All these things, all these videos, all these pictures. There's something important. If we're seeing hundreds of pictures around the world on a weekly basis, videos and pictures of UFOs, even if 10% are real, it's still a lot. meaning they're there. So, I mean, if that doesn't wake people up more than anything else, I don't see how they could still deny it and say, oh, yeah, there's ships out there somewhere. Take 1 week.
So I've got a question. So they're reporting all this activity and they are flying closer to military craft as well as a civilian aircraft. What do you think they're getting out of it? They're obviously making themselves known because people at the aircraft can see them. Pilots can see them. They can track them on radar. So what are they attempting contact with the aircraft itself? I mean, they're drawn to the radar, aren't they? So what are the UFOs do you think getting from this?
All I know, my experience with UFOs directly, I was out in Sedona. I was going from Sedona down up to the top of that. There's like an 8-mile road that goes up to Flagstaff. And going up that road, I stayed there one night, and I went outside for a couple hours watching the sky. Every plane that went by, I watched these orbs come up in back of it. They come flying up in back of it, and then they would shoot out. Just about every plane, and I was watching planes coming and going, and it was just mind-boggling. So it's not like it's something new. And like you said, what are they really going next to the ships for? There has to be something they're getting out of it, obviously. And it's probably something we can't understand. Whether they can fly over a ship and absorb all the energy from it, the energy of the people in it, their knowledge or something. They have to be getting something out of that directly. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about things that I don't know. I can't say what it is, but I know.
That's the question for our viewers. And so if any of our viewers out there would like to surmise
real information on that.
Yeah, if anybody knows or has an inkling of what they think the UFOs are doing, getting closer and closer to planes, please let us know. So no, me and Tommy, I don't. I'm not American, so I don't really trick or treat's really American holiday. Right. They do celebrate some bits in the UK, and it is a little bit popular, but I don't put anything out for Halloween, trick or treats. And yes, so I think Tommy, do you celebrate Halloween?
We do. I don't know if they're going to block us in Hawaii or not, but I just wanted to answer a couple questions in there. All right. Dimension, when you're in different dimensions, time exists because they say there's no such thing as time. Time always exists. It's just that it's a different space of time. Where 100 days here will be 1,000 days in the next realm, 100,000 days in the next realm. So it changes. So you really can't tell the time because it's not being judged the same way we judge it here. I mean, like 365 days for a year versus like 10,000 days for a year in another dimension. So
time is different. It's even different and relative on the Earth. So a day for the human beings is as different to what a day would be to an ant. Human beings scale time in days, weeks, months, hours, seconds, the linear time. If you were a penguin and didn't have a clock, you'd go presumably by day and night. If you came from another race, not from this planet, do you count it by how many times our Earth revolves around the sun, or do you count time in a different way? Do they even consider and comprehend our time? Do they think, 10 o'clock, yeah, we'll go and have a cup of tea? Or do they just take it as memory time or as things happen? I mean, if these beings are old, and a lot of them are a lot older than the human race, I mean, a couple of thousand years, it would be nothing to them. But for us, that would be hundreds of lifetimes. So it depends on how you are taking time, how you're accounting for it.
So we each are dealing with time. And even as you age, time is so different than when you're young. 1 hour can seem like a year sometimes. It could seem like a minute sometimes. So it's how it affects us. And basically, we actually base it on a simple thing, like you say, going around the moon and the sun and things like that. But soul can't stay in the body for more than 125 years. So no matter what time frame we're basing it on, we can't go past that time frame. And it was set up for a reason. And it's not like, well, the scientist says, oh, we're going to try to live longer. They're going to try to, obviously, but nobody has done it yet. When the first person lives past 125, that might change the whole reality, but nobody has did or has since a long, long time ago. Now, when in the old days, when they said they lived 500 years, 800 years, time was different in those days as well.
Are you on about Methuselah in the Bible?
Well, Moses lived to like 900 or whatever, all these people that lived so old. It was a different time frame. It wasn't based on 365 days a year and all that. So who knows how long they really were as far as time frame.
Because the Romans put 2 months in a year, didn't they? So they obviously had 2 months less than us.
Well, leap year is for us, and we have it, what, every 4 years or 5 years, whatever.
4 years.
And it's 1 day. So, you know, when we talk about little things like that, and you multiply that by 1,000 or 10,000, turns out to be a year. So you can keep changing time to the way it was then to now, and it doesn't really matter because we're living in a moment. And when you start traveling through space and stuff, you might worry about time. But if you know you only got 125 years to live, no matter what you eat, what you do, where you go, how you live your life, it doesn't matter. You're not going to go over that time frame. So unless they stop aging completely, you won't know time. Time all breaks down the body. I don't know how many people that are 100 years old and don't have one wrinkle on their body or things like that. So it affects the body. It doesn't affect soul. And you should be more concerned about your soul than the body because that's what you are. That's what you will be when this body dies as well. So with that, let's get back to this whole thing about UFOs right now. They're all being cited, and there's multiple videos. Some of them are much better than the other ones that are being put up. But how many of them are real? And the ones that are real, is anybody really paying attention? Now, some of them, but I'll say this. I've been watching UFOs since I was 6 years old. Now, some travel slow, some travel slower, and some travel super fast. Obviously, the ones traveling super fast aren't dealing with anything on the planet right now. If they're traveling faster than the speed of light, you know how fast did they travel past the planet? All right, so it's not like they're taking their time. Some of the ships travel pretty slow. I mean, it takes 5 minutes to go across the sky that you're watching. Some take 2 minutes to go across the sky when you're watching them. But here's something that I do know, and this is still happening right now. Some of them want to be seen or letting themselves be seen, while others still do not. You'll find out if you start playing with your camera outside at nighttime. You'll see a ship coming by. You turn your camera on, you point it at the ship, and it just blinks out. And that's it. It's gone. So, I mean, they're sensing, or they can sense what we do. The energy of how anything interferes with their reality or their vibration.
Well, there was one. I did see one a few years ago. We were driving back from the other side of Birmingham. We stopped in London. It must have been 1 o'clock in the morning. Stopped at like a roadside, like a petrol station, anyway. And we were there in the car park, just stretching our legs because we've been driving for a while. And this thing, you could blatantly see it in the sky. It looked like a triangle thing with like a white light bulb under it, and it was just like moving about like a bee in the sky. It didn't care, and it just like shot off. You could have took pictures of that. Hundreds of people must have seen it, but nobody is reporting it. Is it because they're becoming so common in the sky and people seeing things and think, oh yeah, wow, but people aren't looking either hard enough or reporting it?
Well, you know, there's conditioning going on, and they want everybody to think everything's a satellite. Oh, it's just a satellite. Oh, it's just a satellite.
But if you're a member of the public, like in England, just suppose my next door neighbour, she saw something in the sky. She won't bother reporting it. Nobody would bother reporting it because there's no one to report it to. Unless you know of a local group or know what you're seeing in the sky, know to report it. So many people don't report things they've seen. There's probably more people that have seen things and don't know what it is because there's no one to report it to. Who's going to follow that up?
We're not going to get the truth. And that's why I put the title in there. When are we going to get any truth? The truth, all right, is satellites are harder to see than a UFO. And the main reason, they're tiny. The biggest satellite we ever sent up was the size of a trailer. But the average satellite now is the size of a lunchbox. And I don't care what kind of light you could put on it. How bright would it really be? All right. And if you're using a light, and use your brain, take out a light and point it somewhere. Is it going to light up in back of you when you're walking? You can
Hi,
see it.
Holly.
Hi, how are you? Now, when you're walking, the light can't go completely around you, top, bottom, back, front, and it's not going to be one ball of light. So there's no way you can say a satellite is lit up completely. And I'm sure a lot of them don't have lights on them. And the only time you can see them is when the sun's hitting them. But they're teeny. And it's not like you're going to be able to see it unless you have supervision or a telescope or binoculars or something like that. But the problem is the speeds that they travel. Most satellites travel at the same speed, travel around the planet at the same time. I could tell you, I could go out one day and see about 20 ships in about a half hour. I could go out another day and see none. So if it's just going around the planet, which is a circular planet, and it comes around every time, the same time, you would see it. And I mean, there's a chart. I had it. I can't find it. It was a live chart of all the satellites up until last year. And I don't know if they're putting all the new ones, Musk and everybody's putting up there. But here's the thing. They're down to the size of a match, a little match thing with matches.
Well, there is a project where they're going to send little, like you said, matchbox, like nanobots in a small satellite. They're going to launch one towards the sun and one into deeper space, aren't they? It's because it's easier for them to propel further into space, isn't it?
Right. Technology. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if the sun stops working, we know why.
Well, and you know, whether I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time, the right place at the wrong time, or however you want to judge it. I was with one of my teachers that I was studying when I was studying Kunlun. He was good friends with the Army and Navy. But we launched, they called them blue bombs. And we hit the sun. It caused 3 giant solar flares many years ago. But you don't hear anybody talk about that. Why would you try to blow a bomb up on the sun? See, we're doing things, and like I said, the truth. Why would we do it? They don't even tell us they're doing it, never mind why they're doing it. So unless you're on top of everything, and I mean everything like I am, and Tina is, I mean, even Sasha's on top of all this stuff as well. You got to keep an eye on everything you hear and filter out all the lies being inside it. The second it becomes a good thing, you know it's a lie. The second they were there and this, that, it was in their house, it's a lie. All the things can kind of prove that it's not real. When somebody comes up with actual videos, nobody has a video of an alien yet. I mean, an actual video, walking up to them and standing there and saying hi or goodbye or disappear or anything like that. Why not?
They're too quick for the camera. If they can overtake.
Here's the thing. Now, you know, Christians always say everything's demons. In some reality, I would say it's partially true because the alien races are all controlled by one race, and it's not a race of aliens. It's a demon race. It's called Satan, the same as the human race are. And whether they ever want to admit that or not, it's a different story. So the truth that they're going to feed everybody has nothing with spiritual truth or awareness. So when we go into that, who's controlling what and why, nobody's telling us anything. Nobody's coming out with any important truth. I mean, I put as much as I know. Tina's putting what she knows out there.
As well, it does make me think. I mean, if you're a true scholar of science, history, and you know you're a teacher, I want to learn teaching, and you're a professor or anything like that, then why don't colleges and universities
for $277 on a card that I thought was empty?
I'll call them up in a couple minutes.
So sorry about that, guys. But
what I was saying is,
that's okay, Tommy. What I was saying is that why don't people, all these professors, start looking into ufology to prove all these millions of people, these sea lords, admirals, doctors, coastal workers, to say no, that we can explain what you're seeing? They can't. They're not doing that. What is the reason for them not coming forward or not teaching that in schools, saying, well, UFOs aren't a hallucination, they are part of natural history and this is what it is? natural history. We haven't had weather balloons for the last 2.5 million years, guys. We've only had weather balloons in about a century and a half. So where the last, we haven't seen, they weren't drawing in the 13th century or 12th century or the 8th century. They weren't drawing weather balloons back then. They were drawing what they saw. So again, it's technology. Why aren't they teaching upgrades in technology? Why can't they explain today, in this day and age, what we're seeing? They can tell us about dinosaurs. They can tell us about animals. They can tell us about space and the sea, but they can't tell you what you're seeing in the sky. Tommy's going to be right back. He's just sorting out some matters at home. Sasha, have you got any questions?
Yeah, so like the majority of the population is already believing in aliens and stuff like that. So why is the government so keen on sticking to their status quo?
Well, I think it does insult intelligence of normal everyday people. I mean, if you would have said 50 years ago we'd be going back to the moon, people would laugh at you because they just started a space race. But then you had scientists working for NASA, getting O-levels, getting A-levels, getting education, getting diplomas, looking into space travel, but they can't look into UFOs.
Yeah.
Tommy?
Well, the problem is they have so many lies piled on top of each other. If they're going to tell us the truth, they're going to have to expose all the other lies they told us.
They got to do both sides of the argument. Like I just said, we haven't had weather balloons for millions of years. So if they're going to say, no, you're wrong, that's not what you've seen, well, then they need to make an argument saying, this is what you've seen. This is, a scientific explanation, and they can't do it.
They don't ever give you an answer. How many days went by since 9/11 happened? Does one person know the truth yet? No. Do they have to? Does anybody force the government to answer anything? See, people let things slide, and then they forget about it. I'm upset because somebody's going to be getting out of jail, and I don't think he should have ever got out of jail. I mean, but people said, well, he got sentenced at least, but not what he deserved. People let go things. They hear some, well, okay, that's okay. They said that. They accept simple. It's like when Jesus spoke, people didn't understand what he was saying. So they converted it into what they presumed that he was saying. So the truth never comes out. And then when a person tells a lie, it kind of multiplies by verbal or writing, either way. So the stories about UFOs, oh, that's a blimp, oh, it's balloons, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. I mean, we had a blimp over Jersey last week, and everybody was, thousands of people calling in a UFO over it. How could they not know what a blimp looks like? It's pretty simple. And I thought they stopped using blimps. They were supposed to, but they're still using them.
Yeah.
Did they ever figure out that New Jersey incident? What that was?
Yeah, it was a blimp. Definitely a blimp.
Okay.
I blew it up and I realized it was a blimp because basically a blimp's just one big balloon with a little teeny box on the bottom of it. And that little box is where the people stay. And only a few people can stay in it. It's little. So, and it always has a little light on it. So if you looked at the ship and you saw where that is, you'd see where the little light is that shines on that little box that they were in. Plus the other thing, a lot of blimps, they have the writing going across, and at nighttime you could see it pretty good, and it'll say stupid things in there. If you could read writing, it's close. It's not way out in space. You're not going to be reading the world's coming to an end on a ship out in space.
Right.
And a blimp used to say, enjoy the beach, enjoy the surf, and have a happy day, whatever they want on it, happy birthday. But if you could read it, it's close. And if it's that close, you should be able to determine what it is. So it was really bad. I mean, the rough video I got, I had to pull it up and enlarge it. And then I just pulled up a picture of a blimp and put it right next to it. And you could see exactly what it is. The shape, the size, the lights, where the lights are. And they got this little antenna up on the top of it, which has a light on it as well. So it all fit together real simple. So I let it go right away. But people don't put enough energy into anything. Now, all the stories about Bigfoot, everybody filmed this and that. Now, there was a story, I don't know what country, I just watched it 2 days ago. They filmed this Bigfoot and they watched it. It was walking down the snow real fast and everything. So it was out there for about a week. This guy calls in and says, oh, that was me. He had no gear on and he's running through the snow in the middle of the nowhere land. And he said it was me. nobody would travel out into the middle of the woods without any kind of backpack. You'd be pretty stupid, especially with snow on the ground and all that kind of stuff. He said, he thought there was going to be an avalanche, so he had to start running back to where he came from. I said, it's like the government. When the first couple crop circles were made, they paid those two guys to come out and said they made them. Or they
Yeah, but hold on, stop there, right? There's another. I've been talking to. I've done a lot of research this year and met some people about crop circles. Now, till those two people that came forward, I can't remember their names, but I did know them. Till those two people came forward and spoke about crop circles, nobody really was paying attention. It was still unexplained. Now, they weren't doing man-made crop circles thousands of years ago. They weren't carrying around small bags of radiation and just we put a bit of radiation there. If they were carrying about radiation, they would be dead. When we went to a crop circle, look, my Geiger counter's going now. See, there you go.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is it?
So yeah, it went to 7 to 9. So I took this little Geiger counter with me, and it's just 2 then. So as it went round, as we walked around the crops, they go, see it now, it's going. Hello.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Going off.
Yeah.
So as it goes, intermittently.
Wait, Tina, before you go any further, that alone proves something's crazy going on.
Right.
Radiation doesn't disappear and come back.
Yeah.
It just doesn't go away and come back the next day.
And it gets really high readings as well.
But see, here's the thing. When you are radioactive, it's going off, and when you're not, it's not going off. So somehow, I still say the aliens are controlling that within you. When they're tracking you, maybe you're more radioactive than when they're not. Because it has to be technology that we do not have. You go to a crop circle, you went there, and it was radioactive, right?
Yeah, and my friend took one to make sure that we got the same reading, so there's nothing wrong with it. It was a regular, bought it on Amazon, and regular little Geiger counter is micro Teslas, which is the bottom one, and the top one's voltage meters. So there you go. But some days this doesn't go off in here, and so there you go, 63. When I point it at me, it's 63.
Last week it didn't go off at all, right? I answered
it didn't go off at all. So I don't want to put. I'm right.
Well, see, like I said, last night was an active night.
No,
There's a lot
they
going
didn't
on.
carry around bags of radiation. So the ones that they can't explain, that are too complicated, that have radiation and they have the roots and middle bits extended and bent, aren't made by man. So you could tell me, because I'm sure the English military or the American embassy or the Russians or the Chinese would like to know where. Oh my God, I'm going 63 again. Sorry, I'll put it away from me a bit. Would like to know where these people are getting all this radiation from. Surely they would be leaving a radiation trail back to their house and their car. They would be radioactive themselves. So, and they weren't on all 50 continents millions of years ago. For the last million years, crop circles have been all over the world. So unless these two people are more than 1 million years old making crop circles in every single country, then no. That is not an explanation. Yes, I did it with the board. But did you do it in all 50 countries, even where they don't have wood? And you carried radiation about with you, did you? That's interesting. How did you get that on the plane?
Well, here's the thing. The greater the sighting is, the more baloney the story they tell about it is. Now, a friend, not a good friend, is in Long Island in the nut house right now. And they won't let him go to court for a trial. He filmed. I actually saw it. And in the film, the ship crashed on Long Island. It came in, went through all these trees, and finally came to a stop. And it kind of ripped open, and there was aliens laying on the side and everything. Well, he shot the video of that. All right. He never released it publicly. I saw it, but he shipped 4 copies around the world and said if he ever gets killed, he wants the videos released. So in the interim, he's still in the nut house. He's supposed to go to court almost every year. And the government comes and said, well, we have to evaluate him another year. And they've been doing that for 10 years already. But in the interim, the actual video was incredible. It's probably the most incredible video of a ship crash that was ever filmed. But here, the main thing wait, let me finish. What they did say, the government said on the TV in the United States, in New Jersey and in New York, that he had uranium and he was going to put it in toothpaste and kill people in Congress. He had a barrel of uranium. First off, nobody has a barrel of uranium. Not like you
Where
put
did
it
you
in
get
a
it from?
tube. And yeah, where do you get it from? And how do you cart it around? How do you move it? How do you touch it? How do you go near it? You don't. If you had a barrel of uranium, freaking everything in the neighborhood would have been contaminated,
He'd be dead.
and he would have been dead by
So-
now. So
Karen, no, just an answer. So that answers the question, really. That's what I'm saying. So these people, if you took a, it's going again. Every time I go near it, it beeps. All right, it's 78. That was 78, guys. At 1.6, that's a high dosage there.
well, if that blows up, guess what? Maybe you will.
That's a lethal dose over 1.4.
Well, just people, if radiation could go through the lines, we're all getting exposed to radiation right now.
Just a question about Betty and Barney Hill and their story. This is Betty and Barney Hill. That's me there. That's Betty and Barney Hill's niece, who live with as Kathleen Murdon, head of Buffon in America, for the abductions. And she actually had Betty and Barney's possessions, her dress that Betty had on, and the shoes and the scuff marks, scientifically tested. And when I spoke to her, she was telling me that there was a pink residue, some type of powder or residue left on Betty's dress, which still today remains unidentified. She has the dress back and it still has the biochemical signature on it. They don't know what it is. It's not man-made, and they can't trace where it's from. It's not from this world. So that's scientific evidence and proof that it's not man-made. She hasn't sprinkled pink talcum powder on it. If the scientists say it's not from this world, I mean, Betty and Barney Hill's story is phenomenal, and there's a lot more to it. And yes, they were very nice people, Tommy.
Well, I'm just trying to read some of the things going up in the chat room. Remember, anybody that wants to come on, please let me know, and I'll give them the link, and they can come on and show it, because I could bring 10 people on. So I thought I fixed my problem with me blacking out, but I guess the government's not going to let that happen anytime soon.
Yeah, that always seems to happen.
Yeah, I did everything under the sun to stop it. Changed everything, changed the programming, and I did a show yesterday. I wasn't watching the screen the whole time. Oh, she's going up there. She's getting hot. We got to do something with that energy while you have it. What can we do with it? Now, if anybody knows anything about CERN, when it's on, it's the most dangerous radiation there is. And it stops when it's off. So it's a matter of turning something on and off, but the protection from it when it's on is dangerous. And you've been going through all the symptoms of radiation poisoning. So whatever it is, you're not dead. You're still pretty active and alive. I mean, you have a lot of little problems going on, big problems. But there's a controlling factor in there somewhere, which is protecting you to keep you alive. And that's the way I look at it. Because if you were exposed to the radiation all the time that you are, you would be having a lot more problems.
I picked up every time I pick up, it bleeps.
Well, be going near it.
Side note, just to answer John's question, no, I don't speak Russian anymore, but I do know some words. That's about it.
До свидания, да?
Spasiba.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of when Putin spoke about Trump and told Trump to talk about the alien races and what they're doing.
Yeah, that was well publicized at the
How do you
time.
say alien in Russian?
Sorry?
You know?
No, I'm
Alien.
not fluent. I know a tiny bit, and that's it.
Oh, well, because I had a translator translating it for me when Putin was speaking. He did it on live TV, telling Trump what to do and everything, and that was 6 months or between 5 and 6 months before he got elected. And that disappeared. Nobody talked. It's just mind-boggling how these UFO people, and we know they're paid by the government, even though they won't ever admit that. Now, just to show you how lies, which I have a real bad problem with, lies. I'm going to say a name. I'm going to just say a book, Conversation with God. Neely Diamond Walsh. All right. He claims he talked to God. And I've been putting letters up, and 90% of the people attack me and saying, blah, 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 he's telling the truth and blah. And then I got 3 emails from 3 different people saying, do you want some information about him? They got signed letters saying he was a fake, and he admitted it. But he will never confirm that again. I mean, all these little things, the truth's there. but it's always covered by a lie, and the lie has to stay overpowering the truth no matter what goes down. So if the government came out and said in 1948, Mr. Truman said, okay, aliens, you could abduct 10,000 people a year, do whatever you want with them, but we need something back in return. And then when Eisenhower got in, he took over that part of it, but Majestic 12 was created, and Truman was the one that created it, not Eisenhower. Eisenhower wasn't part of Majestic 12. So Laura Eisenhower has parts of truth from her mother and parts of the truth of what Eisenhower actually said publicly. So, but that's the critical year when the government was actually selling out the United States.
Would, if those presidents were still alive today, would it be appropriate to charge them for genocide?
Well, you'd have to prove it, and we can't prove a UFO is real yet. So, you know, it's like saying I'm going to prove him because he's a demon. Really? Prove he's a demon?
I think Sasha's onto something there. I mean,
we know.
Translating that down, Sasha, from Eisenhower down to like Mr. Trump today, President Trump today. Each sitting president is briefed on UFOs, national concerns, whether they say they are or they're not. If they're infiltrating this atmosphere, then they have to know. On the other hand, the backside to that is that they know this is happening and going on, and they're allowing human beings to be taken, used as lab rats. Some of them don't come back, and they're given no compensation. That this is tantamount to war crimes.
Here's the problem.
They're not being held accountable.
Well, here's the problem. There was a president called John Kennedy. All right. And he wanted to bring the story of the UFO world out, and he was killed. He told the story to Marilyn Monroe, and she had the file already to release the week before she OD'd. All right. So no matter where it goes, they can stop it. This guy, John Ford, who has the best video, he's never going to get out of jail. Now, my friend Sean David Morton, who's in jail now, he actually discovered Area 51. He actually had people going up there filming a giant ship that comes in there and everything. They're not going to let him out, but he's dying, people. I know people said he got involved with a scam and this, that, and the other thing, but he was one of the big name people in the UFO world, one of the top psychics. After 1965, Michael Scallion was the top psychic in the United States, and he just disappeared. And then Sean David Morton came out. But Sean, I know him personally. I went and was with him, and he was good friends with the top of CIA, FBI. We went to dinner together, and listening to the real stories is incredible. What's the matter, Tina? You exposed me?
Everything was splashing across my screen. It was going crazy, and I'm like, "Where am I?" Sorry, technical difficulties my end.
Well, you know, we got to use that for something. You don't want the government. Who knows what the government would do with that information or try to do with it? Well, she's got a way to up and down radiation. To shut it off, yeah, that would be the biggest thing the government could use.
How is this possible, people? If you tell me how you get micro Tesla radiation that fluctuates from nothing up to 1.7 or whatever it is, lethal would be good because I picked it up. It's going up again.
Yeah.
You know, where's that coming from?
Since you go up and down, now that you're exposed to a lot, see what happens in the next day or like all day today. Because you started passing out, you started having serious problems, right?
It's not been a good day for me.
It might not be a good day later either.
It's not going to be a good night by the sounds of it either.
So, people, we don't make this stuff up. It's too crazy, too ridiculous, and too impossible. So we need to be realized that things are going on way beyond our imagination could perceive. But is any of it good? Any of it? If you go into the UFO world, all the New Age programmed idiots will say, oh, yeah, we're going to be spiritual. We're six-dimensional beings. They're going to make everything beautiful. But in the interim, and we're not ready for them yet, but they'll help us when we ask for help. What do they need? Like 7.1 billion people to say we need you? And then they'll come help us? What is the number that would change that reality? It's a ridiculous idea to think that there would be a number that would change that reality. I mean, if they know children are dying every single minute And don't stop that. Why would they step in when 10 more children are dying? Who cares? They don't care. If they cared, they would be helping right now. You don't wait until everybody's dead. Well, there's 10 people. Let's save them now.
Ollie's right. We are a commodity. We are DNA human resource. And we are the commodity. They like us, the water, and whatever else they can take from us.
You know, one day I would, if I had money, and I know people jump on money, I would offer $1 million to any speaker that would come on my show to debate me live publicly for a 2 or 4 hour show worldwide. All right? Because these people are so afraid to lose their money situation of getting their money and their story being blown. I mean, if Corey Good's story ever was brought out to fact and David Wilcock and all these people, all their stories came out, they're claiming incredible things. So when you deal with aliens that have no feelings and emotions, what do you think they could teach us or give us other than weapons? Weapons of mass destruction and technology to travel through the universe. What else can they give us? Not love and compassion. I mean, what do people really expect them to teach us? How to love your children? How to feed your children? How not to beat up your children? What are they going to teach us? Is anything important? They don't teach anything important in schools. So how does a person learn to be a spiritual, loving, compassionate being? You don't. And they don't want that. And now, see, you have to think, why would that be so? The Anunnaki needed us for what? Supposedly, ridiculously saying, mining gold. They could make gold. They're not dumb. They could make gold 10,000 years ago. I mean, they didn't need to dig it. They don't need to do anything. Their technology is based on what Tesla was given a small percentage of their knowledge. And look what he came up with. So imagine what they know and can do. So as far as them coming down here to get stupid people to mine gold, when they have the technology to blast and pull it out of the ground or whatever, if they needed it really, to make a ring of gold energy around their planet to live. I mean, it's a great story. The crazier the story, you know, the more it was created by people. Reality, things are much more simple than what people perceive, like an atom, proton, neutron. It's useless. We don't need to know that. When you split an atom, you make an atom bomb. You don't make something good. Split a proton, neutron, and electron, or splice them together, make a black hole. All those things are useless to mankind. And still, where's all our money being spent? All the money of the US, all the money of Russia, and all the money of Germany being spent? The space program. Do they care about planet Earth where we live? It's sad. And now these aliens that are coming here, you have to think why. And nobody in the UFO world, well, 1 or 2 people say, well, they're here for food. They don't go into detail. They don't want to talk about all the different assorted foods that you got from here and how and the energy they can use from a person and all that. But I want to throw this in, and it's not aliens. It's called demons and spirits and ghosts. It's so active right now. And there's more shows on that now than UFOs anymore or Bigfoot, because they're getting more videos, more sound effects of the actual spirits and beings and demons and entities. That should scare you.
Hacked.
You were hacked?
Yep. So I got to look at all my cards now. I'm hacked.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh, well, our computer was hacked. My card was hacked.
That's not good.
No, not good.
We can call it a night for tonight if you want, Tommy. Sort yourself out. We
Yeah.
come on again next week.
Do you just want to stay on or not?
No, we go. It's more important. Don't worry. Sort yourselves out there. If you've been hacked, you've obviously been targeted for a reason.
Yeah. Cancel all your cord.
I know. I'm sorry, people.
We've been targeted today. Jesus.
It's a nightmare, but we got to take care of this right away.
It's a weird.
So goodbye from me in here in England, and good night to everybody out there.
Sorry for this just interruption, but I got to take care of a serious problem before it gets worse.
And we'll speak to you all next week. Sorry for the short session, guys. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Sorry.
Bye.
Take care.